You know that feeling, right? That moment where you have to make a choice and it feels like everything is on the line. But how can you tell if you're making a brilliant calculated move or if you're just taking a wild shot in the dark? Today, we're diving into that razor thin line between genius and total disaster. So, when you think of a professional gambler, this is probably the image that pops into your head. The super cool James Bond type who just knows where the ball's going to land. It's this powerful, almost magical image of someone who has mastered luck itself. Yeah, about that, it's a complete fantasy, a total myth. In the real world, that's not how it works, not even close. The real game of risk and reward is played by a completely different set of rules. Okay, so if the James Bond of the casino isn't real, then what is? What's the secret sauce that separates a person who just gets lucky once from someone who wins consistently? And more importantly, what can we learn from them about making smarter choices in our own lives? It really all comes down to two completely different mindsets. You've got the pure, emotional gamble on one side, and on the other, you have cold, hard, deliberate calculation. They might look the same on the surface, but trust me, they are worlds apart. And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Look at the left side, gambling. It's all about feeling lucky, chasing that adrenaline rush. But the hard truth? The math is almost always against you. The expected value is negative. Now look at the right. Calculated risk-taking is analytical. It's about the process, not just the thrill. The goal is to find those rare situations with a positive expected value. And here's the biggest difference. A gambler risks ruin. A calculated risk-taker has a backup plan. To really understand this difference, let's start by looking inside the brain of a problem gambler. We need to see what's driving them to chase that thrill, even when it's leading them straight off a cliff. And I want to be really clear here. This isn't just a bad habit. We're talking about gambling disorder, which is a recognized clinical diagnosis. And that 0.5%, that might not sound huge, but it translates to millions of people whose lives are being seriously damaged by it. So, what does this actually look like? Well, it often starts with just the excitement of risking more and more money. Then it becomes a dangerous cycle. They start chasing their losses, betting bigger to try and win back what they lost, which almost never works. Their whole mood starts to depend on whether they won or lost that day. And it's all wrapped up in secrecy and denial. And this is where it gets incredibly serious. A study found that more than a quarter, 26.6% of patients with gambling disorder had thought about suicide. This isn't a game. It's not just about money. For so many, it becomes a life or death struggle. Okay, so now let's just flip the script entirely. If the problem gambler is trapped in a cycle of emotion, the professional risk taker is basically running a business. For them, it has nothing to do with emotion. It's all about math. And the heart of that business is a concept called positive expected value, or EV+. All it means is that you only make bets where, over the long haul, you are mathematically favored to win. Think about it this way. If someone offered you 3-to-1 odds on a simple coin toss, you'd be crazy not to take that bet. You might lose the first flip or the second, but if you make that bet 1,000 times, you are guaranteed to come out way ahead. That's the whole game. So how do they do it? It's all about the grind. First, they specialize. They don't bet on everything. They become an absolute expert in one tiny niche. Then, they analyze tons of data. Forget gut feelings. This is all about spreadsheets and algorithms. Their whole job is to find those little mistakes, those bets where the odds are just slightly off. And the most important part? Unbreakable discipline. They stick to their system, manage their money perfectly, and never, ever let emotion get in the way. So that James Bond image we started with, just throw it right out the window. The reality is, well, it's kind of boring. The real pro is much more likely to be a data geek staring at a spreadsheet than a high roller in a tuxedo. It's not glamorous, but it is profitable. So we've seen the two extremes, right? The emotional gambler versus the cold, calculating professional. But what about the games that live in that fuzzy gray area in between? And there's no better example of that than poker. Ah, the age-old question. The one that gets debated in bars and even courtrooms. When you sit down at a poker table, what really matters more? The luck of the draw or how you play the cards you're dealt? And this is where it gets really fascinating because you get two completely different answers depending on who you ask. The legal system has ruled multiple times that poker is a game of skill.
But then, a scientific study that looked at just 60 hands found that pure luck, the cards you got, was the only thing that determined who won. So, who's right?
Well, the answer is they both are. It all comes down to your time frame. In the short term, one night, one tournament, luck is absolutely king. A total amateur can get great cards and win. But over thousands and thousands of hands, skill always, always rises to the top. A skilled player knows how to maximize their wins with good hands, sure, but their real genius is knowing how to minimize their losses with bad hands. That's the secret. And that really brings it all back to us, doesn't it? Because we all face these kinds of decisions, whether it's with our career, our money, or our relationships. So the next time you're about to take a leap, just ask yourself this one question. Am I actually playing the odds, or am I just closing my eyes and hoping to get lucky?